Welcome to A Date with Darkness podcast, where I will be discussing the impact of hurtful and abusive relationships and how to overcome them so that you can move through your pain and get to the kind of healthy relationships you want, need, and deserve. I'm Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed psychotherapist based in California. While I hope that you find this podcast educational and informational, please note it should not be substituted for treatment with a licensed mental health professional. Also, due to the nature of the podcast, some of the information presented on the show can be sensitive to some of my listeners, so please note that listener discretion is advised. Hello and welcome back. I'm super excited to be chatting here with you guys today. I know it's been a minute since our last show, but trust and believe there's a lot of great things going on behind the scenes that I can't wait to share with you. And I think, life just has a way of getting so busy. Summer's here almost. And so it's just a good time. And I hope that you all are also doing well. But I wanted to I have a couple of shows coming up for you guys. And so I'll probably do a couple shows over the next 2 weeks to kind of catch us up. And one of the reasons for that is my last podcast and the last newsletter that I sent out generated a lot of buzz. And believe it or not, I had a lot of responses, a lot of great dialogue, people having questions and people having suggestions for the show. And so I'll be definitely bringing those up as like, a gift to you guys, a summer gift. These are your flowers for being my listeners. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you are a longtime listener, thank you so much for rocking with me still. But for today's episode, I definitely wanted to spend some time talking about unhealthy reasons that people have children. And I think it comes up a lot when I work in client care and just when you're talking about narcissistic abuse in general, and you're looking at family dynamics, it's one of those things that just kind of comes up, and I get asked like, the clients that I work with, the victims of abuse, they often wonder, what was my purpose? What was the point in my parents having me if they couldn't be there for me, they couldn't love me in the way that I deserve to be loved, or if it was very apparent, that their parents don't even like children. And so that's where a lot of this comes into play. And I want you to kind of tell me if any of these reasons resonate with you, or if this has ever been something that you've pondered about, or what you guys' thoughts are on this. So if you're watching this on YouTube, love to read your comments in the chat, and I do go over those. I also read emails as well. So sometimes people will definitely email me a lot. But if you're listening to this on your player, if you want to, send me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are, that's super awesome. But let me kick this off with reason number one. And of course, I've got my handy dandy notebook here. The first reason that often comes up a lot in terms of unhealthy reasons as to why why couples have children is that, an unhealthy reason is, the first one is to save the marriage or the relationship. A lot of times when we're in relationships and the writing is on the wall, right? And there's just fighting, we don't get along, we are, moving through the house like we're roommates, and the relationship is essentially on its last leg. There are a lot of people, and believe it or not, when I used to do couples therapy, but there's a lot of people that kind of come to me and they say, well, I want to save the relationship, I really want us to work, so we've been thinking about having a child, to kind of do this last ditch effort to really save the relationship and try to bring bring two people who have fallen out of love or who can barely coexist together closer together, right? And the idea behind that is a baby is something to love. We can focus our efforts on, loving the child, reasons why we fell in love, become romantic, and develop this bonding over this new child that we bring into the relationship. And that is a common thought. I know some of you are probably listening to me and thinking, like, why would you ever bring a baby into a situation that's already super stressful or dysfunctional, or where people are arguing all the time? It is a very common default or go-to when people think of that. And the reason behind that, again, is like, we love a baby, and of course, if the feelings can grow for something or someone that we bring into the relationship, then naturally our feelings for each other will grow and we will bond, and this will make our bond much stronger, and the person will be less likely to leave now that we have this new person to connect with. A baby adds more stress to a relationship once the newness wears off, once the fresh baby scent wears off, or baby's crying in the night, or even during, just during carrying the child. Things do not stop. The world does not stop. Arguments, fighting, that does not stop. It's not a magical potion to bring you guys closer together, even during the maternity phase where you're actually carrying the baby. It's also a very stressful time for people, but things do not stop. If anything, it exacerbates the stress that's already there, because now a baby is, although children are lovely, but just thinking about what it adds to a relationship that's already dysfunctional or already not in a good place, what it's going to add to is there's going to be added stress, there's going to be added financial pressure. There's going to be a demand for a physical presence, right? Which on one hand may sound good to someone, but when you think about it, the expectation is the partner is now there at all the doctor's visits, may be present for Lamaze classes or whatever type of birthing classes that you choose to take on, or just to be there to emotionally support you when you're having a bad day, or just talk about any sort of problems or nuances that are now coming up as a result of bringing new life into the relationship. So that is added stress, added pressure, and added conflict in all cases there. So that's something for you to think about. And, when you add stress to an already to a rope that's already dangling, when you add more things on top of it, it's bound to break that much faster and sooner, just because the relationship is not in a good space. Ideally, you would want to strengthen the relationship first, strengthen the bond, the connection, and get on the same page before you bring in a child. In fact, a lot of familial discord comes from parents not being on the same page, even just during raising their children, not being on the same page or having conflict, right? And that's, when there's not a strong partnership, children don't know which way to go. They learned how to manipulate one parent over the other or triangulate. There's often this push-pull dynamic that develops in there. Okay, so that's reason number one. Reason number two is that you want to attract a partner. And we think that by attracting a certain caliber of people, that we can give them what they want. So case in point, if we meet someone and we have a great connection with them, then there's actually been a lot of legal cases around stuff like this, right? Legal cases from one extreme to the other based around doing what a partner wants, right? One example that I can give you is Susan Smith, who famously murdered her children back in the 90s. And so, when she got with her initial partner, that partner wanted family, and they decided at family and kids and things like that. And that was done as a means to make her partner happy. And when then the case became famous, or what she is more known for in terms of killing her children, was she then found someone else who did not want children, right? And so she was kind of doing whatever each partner wanted, and it wasn't necessarily her own desire, or she sort of molded herself and became a chameleon to do whatever her partner wanted to do to make her become that much more desirable, attractable, and someone that they would want to be in a relationship with. So whatever that man or that partner wanted, she was going to do that, and right down to the point where she murdered her children, famously enough. So I think that is also something that's quite common, is like, oh, I'm very in love with this person, this man or this woman. I'm very in love with them. And if they're telling me that they want to have children, then by goodness, by golly, I'm going to go ahead and have children, because that's what they want. And I want to please them, because I'm so in love, or I'm so enamored with them that, I just can't see any other way. And if that makes them happy, then that also then makes me happy. So whatever makes my partner happy makes me happy, right? And so people just sort of change themselves to fit the situation at the time, and it's not necessarily an ultimate goal or an ultimate desire, right? And then that becomes much more apparent if there's a breakup in that relationship. So when those two people break up, they're no longer together. Guess what? I no longer desire what that person wanted anymore. And so if that happens to be children, that's when people oftentimes see a drastic change in their parents' demeanor towards them, the emotional atmosphere that they may have with that specific parent, right? And so that oftentimes comes out in divorce, high conflict, where children are manipulated, right, or pulled between two parents. And I'm not saying that that's always the case with high conflict, but I'm saying that these are dynamics that one could see and that do oftentimes develop, is like, we want to do whatever it takes to attract the type of partner that we feel like we want at that time. And if having children is that golden nugget, so to speak, then we will go ahead and do that. All right. And, and that's important when we're thinking about narcissists, or people with personality disorders often go through this phase of idealization. So idealization is, where you're putting your partner or the person that you are enamored with at that moment up on a pedestal. And when you put that person up on a pedestal, everything is great. Everything that about that person is great. You're in love, and it's really the honeymoon phase, and you really just want to keep that high going, or that just your image going, so that that person also continues to put you up on a pedestal, right? And so people get caught up in emotions, and make these life decisions over emotions or something that they want to obtain. And it's a rather immature style of thinking, but it's actually quite common. Okay. And so another third reason that people want to unhealthy reasons that dysfunctional folks want to have children is they want to trap someone in a relationship. This oftentimes happens in narcissistic abuse too, or in any other relationship where coercive control is present. And this is actually a part of reproductive abuse, in my opinion. And this could be things where things like stealthing come into place, where you're having intercourse with a partner and they take off a condom without telling you, or without you knowing, right? Or without you being able to see, or without you consenting to that, right? So trapping someone, and with the goal of making that person unattractive, or unsuccessful, or just keeping them in a place where you always have access to them, right? And so, there are people that enter a relationship with another person with an agenda, like, and narcissistic people, narcissists in general, oftentimes want a commitment from you very quickly. Like they want you to show and prove your commitment and your love, right? And that's part of where love bombing comes from, right? Because again, that sort of idealization, we're rushing, we're making these impulsive decisions. And this decision right here doesn't always have to be impulsive. And there's a lot of times the other person on the receiving end of this does genuinely think that that person is in love with them, but then they'll suddenly change up or switch up, right? And, once they get the desired result, right? And maybe leave or be in and out or inconsistent. But the idea behind this is, I don't want you with anybody else. I don't want you to have a good life, or I always want to be able to come into your life whenever I want to and have some sort of access to you. And so a child allows me to have access to you for 18 years. We are now forever bonded through having a child. No one is going to want to date you because you have my child, right? Or that's going to make it difficult for you to be successful in the dating world, or in having another marriage, or doing well financially, right? Now that you have the added challenge of having children. And so people enter in thinking, like, with this goal of like, okay, this is like another side to, if I can't have you, no one else can, or I'm going to make sure that I'm always a part of your life. And the children get lost in the mix in this, because again, this isn't a situation where both parties are in love and they have these well thought out, well planned reasons as to why they want to have children, but that one person is entering in this situation being very manipulative and very calculating and wanting to trap the other person. Uh, Along with another aspect of entrapment, or trapping a person, I should say, in terms of having children, would be for secondary gain, such as financial purposes or having a place to live. Like if I have a child with this person, and in my partner or this other person is much more financially stable or has their stuff together, I know that if I have a child with this person is going to want to take care of their child. And as an extension of that, they're also going to want to take care of me. And so if I have a child, I know that that's guaranteed stability. That may be guaranteed financial means through child support, on top of, living arrangements and things like that, medical care, maybe even in some cases. So I know that, if I do this, that this is guarantees me a certain style of life, right? And so there are people that do enter into having children with these hidden agendas in mind. And so going back to, reproductive control, where things like stealthing take place, or where your partner demands that you don't that they demand that you don't wear a condom, or they insist on not wearing a condom, or a partner may be in a relationship and secretively not taking birth control pills, or taking their birth control in whatever form that they take it. They have the agenda, like, okay, I'm going to, or even saving condoms, things like that, so that they can try to self-impregnate themselves. There's actually, that also actually happens quite a bit too, when people just sort of have these ideas like, oh, I am going to do whatever it takes to get pregnant and try to keep this person, or trick this person, or coerce this person into having a child in an unhealthy way. And so those are 3 ways that I've come up with. Let me know down in the comments below if you have some other suggestions or ideas about how this may happen, then this is sort of a quick and dirty podcast. So that you guys, so I can connect with you guys. And then, of course, I have a couple more podcasts that are up and coming. And I can't wait to talk with you guys. And so until next time, you guys take care of yourselves, stay out of trouble, and be well. Bye for now.